All right, today what I want to talk about is flash exposure simulation, because if you're using a flash in any kind of system like that on a Canon mirrorless system, like an R5, R6, anything like that, it can be a bit confusing the first time you kind of start to use it. Luckily, it's pretty simple, and the good news is there's a fix if that exposure simulation is driving you crazy. So hold on, I'll show you a very fast, very simple fix. Oh, hey, and do me a favor, if you find this video helpful in any way, shape, or form, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. It is so hard to keep a YouTube channel going these days, and your subscriptions are the only thing that keep this channel going. Now, just to kind of explain what is going on, if you're using a flash or using a trigger like I'm using here on my camera, what you're going to notice is that if you have exposure simulation on your camera, you'll notice something kind of interesting. Now you can see here on my camera right now, I have an exposure that I've set as kind of a dark exposure. So everything's nice and dark. I've got it what I want, but check what happens when I cut on my flash. You're going to sit there. If I go ahead and now focus on that, boom, now you're going to see the exposure give me a completely different image. However, if I take a picture of this, you will now see that it plays back completely dark. However, if I come out of that and I come back to my thing, you will now see the exposure simulation is giving me a completely different reading than what the actual light is that is hitting the sensor. This can be very, very confusing. Now I do want to go back and explain what is going on here in exposure simulation if you are using a flash, just so it makes sense when you get to the fix. And this really throws people off because we're so used to that exposure stimulation always showing us what we're getting on the camera, for the most part. Let's be honest, if you're using a mirrorless, that's one of the great benefits of having a mirrorless camera. However, anytime you hook up a flash or a trigger here in your hot shoe, it is going to change how that exposure simulation works. And essentially what is happening is this is reverting this back to the kind of dynamics of how the old optical viewfinders used to work before we got EVFs. And the reason for that is a lot of time if you're using flash photography, a big component of that is you really want to control or eliminate as much ambient light as you want and then fill that back in with flashes. It's very common. There's also a benefit to this because when you are shooting in dark places and you really want to take out most of the ambient light, this simulated view also makes sure you're getting your focus points right, lets you know exactly, see your subject, see the posing before you hit it. So it's a very important thing to have this tool on there. Where this can get really frustrating is if you're shooting outside or you're shooting anywhere you want to actually bring that ambient light in and start balancing with your flash, then you start feeling like you don't know what's going on. It just feels very confusing. Let me show you the two ways to fix it because it's super simple. The first way is if you see here, I've got a bob here. I'm going to go ahead and hit on that and you will see now it'll give me this super bright exposure so I can get my focus point and see anything. But if you wait just a few seconds, it will default, hold on, and then boom, you're going to see it. It will now dip down in exposure and go back to what the ambient light is. Now that's all well and good, but I don't know about you, but when I'm photographing people, most of them are not going to want me to take a picture, get my set there and then just hold on a couple seconds while I get the exposure down. That's not the way it works. So let me show you the way that I prefer to do this because it is very simple, very fast, and you can do it 10,000 times in a shoot. What you're going to do, if you have this exposure simulation going on, hit the focus point button on the back and then set. And then what that's going to do, it's going to automatically show you what your ambient exposure level is, and then you can go ahead and snap the picture. You can do this a million times, and I basically will always kind of do this every couple pictures just to make sure my exposure level and my ambience level is what I want in regards to flash. So I'm going to go ahead, and all you got to do is hit the focus point and set, and it's going to pop back down. Then you can take your picture and you are good to go. So very easy fix to do. It is something that if you are using flash photography on a Canon mirrorless system, you are going to want to incorporate into your workflow, make your life a lot better, and make those pictures, man, really get your level way up there, get the ambience exactly what you want. Anyway, I'd love to hear what you have to say about this. Leave me any notes and comments down below. And yeah, go out there, keep on shooting, and yeah, I'll talk to you soon.